what's up, comrades? I just wanted to do a little off-the-cuff rant about July 4th, the United States, covering both of the shootings which transpired yesterday across Illinois and in Philadelphia. News on both of these shootings is rather sparse, so I can't exactly speak that much about the perpetrators or their motivations. But what I will say is, given the long history of neo-fascist perpetrated terror which takes place in this country, it really wouldn't surprise me that if in the wake of either of these shootings that some neo-fascist manifestos surfaced referencing the Jewish question, white genocide, and saying that they were radicalized by Candace Owens, Steven Crowder, and Ben Shapiro, and the likes of like Tucker Carlson. Would not be surprised at all if those names were dropped and referenced. What I do know is that there's an incredible irony that is taking place right now. On the day of independence, the day that our country lights up loads of fireworks to celebrate the breakaway from the British Empire and the national liberation struggle of the United States, a day in which thousands of people go out and, in public, gather to celebrate and participate. A day that's supposed to be about the commemoration of our freedoms and our liberty and independence. On this day, not one, but two crazed gunmen engaged in simultaneous acts of terror at once, directly imposing upon and restricting the freedom of everybody else. Let this, along with the Texas shooting which transpired recently, be a reminder to the right wing that their little thin blue line is a complete and total joke. The cops didn't save fucking anybody yesterday, and they certainly didn't fucking save any of the children or the school faculty that got murdered when they stood idly by outside that school in Texas. Wake up, people. Not only are the cops not legally obligated to protect you, even if they had the chance to do so, they would rather let you get murdered if it means that they don't have to put their skin on the line. Fucking pathetic. All that military gear and army surplus and that bravado that has poured over from the military, and behind all of it, the boys in blue are cowards. Remember this next time they're out there tear gassing and blackbagging peaceful protesters. Both of these shootings happened on a national holiday. This type of shit doesn't happen in other countries, though, and this is how bad it's gotten. We have become so normalized and so numb to the violence that the general public just treats this shit like it's a natural part of life for people to randomly lash out, grab a gun, and go around shooting and killing people. That's how commonplace this has become. The frequency of these mass shootings and acts of terror should be the testimony to how deeply sick this country is. Anybody talking about gun control at this time is seriously losing sight of what the actual problem is here. Even if you take away the tools, you can't take away the will. These random acts of violence stem from a serious, deep-running sickness underlying our society, because you don't see this kind of thing happening anywhere else in the world. Not with this kind of frequency. Not with this kind of deliberate vindictiveness. There are plenty of third world countries that have way more strict gun laws than we do, but with way more gun violence at the same time. So the gun control debate is based on a colossal red herring. Meanwhile, right-wingers will preach what I'm preaching, but on their end, they have no solutions. They don't want to solve the alienation. They don't want a countrywide healthcare program or social program to tackle these social ills. They don't give a fuck about gun violence at all, no matter how much they might pretend to. As far as I'm concerned, they're part of the problem as well. What does this tell the international community when the country that's supposed to be the beacon of world progress, the land of the free, and the greatest place on God's green earth, has people sporadically shooting and killing each other like this constantly? A country that is rampant with violent, white supremacist militias and spree shooters. A country that beats up and jails and gasses crowds of peaceful protesters and criminalizes poverty. A country that has military bases all over the planet. A country that will assassinate, overthrow, coup, bomb, invade, and sanction any other country that doesn't fall in line with its geopolitical interests and kowtow to the United States empire. And then, after we just got done destabilizing entire continental regions of the globe, making life quite literally impossible for the people that live there, and then when swarms of refugees begin fleeing to the global north, our first immediate response is to gun them down or jam them into concentration camps? I have an answer to that. It tells the world that America is a lie. Our whole mission statements is a lie. We're not exporting freedom and democracy. We're undermining democracy and exporting fascist terror and destabilizing and destroying entire swaths of the world. We're not the land of opportunity whom welcomes in immigrants and refugees with open arms. That's only the case if they're white people or rich migrants. Or preferably, rich migrants. If they're poor or brown black people, on the other hand, from regions of the world that have been destabilized, we treat them like they're less than human. We're not the land of the free, home of the brave. We're the land of selfish, cowardly, greedy, violent, barbaric, and insecure warmongers that feel so inferior to our neighbors that the only way that we can feel equal or superior, even if it's just for about 30 to 45 minutes, is if we take up guns and start shooting our fellow neighbors, just so we can feel more powerful than they are, just for a little moment. And if you're new to my channel and any of what I'm saying right now offends you because it sounds like I'm painting all Americans with just a generalized broad brush, consider that whenever the real ugliness of this country is exposed, many of you people are among the first to start whitewashing it, downplaying it, apologizing for it, or trying to justify it. Well, not all Americans are like that. Imperialism is good for black and brown people, actually. Well, we have a legal border, etc., etc. Well, technically, the poor of today are better off than they were 10,000 years ago, so as far as I'm concerned, if you identify more with the sensibilities of the oppressors and the settlers and are straight up identifying with the United States government, or either of the two-party duopoly, if your first immediate instinct is to get all pissy and offended when I bring up these objective facts about your own country and culture which you don't like, if you care more about reforming and preserving the system than you do about overthrowing it and actually achieving some goddamn retribution, equality, and social justice, then all that tells me is that you're complicit with it, and are by extension part of the problem. You are the Menshevik, the White Army Russian. You are the people who will be on the opposite side of social progress, aligned directly with the ruling class because you think the revolutionaries are dictators or authoritarian, evil tankies, etc. The United States is foundationally one gigantic fat lie. It is not the world leader, it's the world's oppressor. And that flag you see on screen, as far as I'm concerned, that flag is a swastika. So if anyone here identifying with the Yankee swastika and rallying under that banner of the United States, if any of this applies to you, I just want you to know that that flag and that country which you stand in solidarity with is a piece of shit. And until America is finally overthrown and replaced with a new society which actually does stand for the things America claims to stand for, that's all the United States of America ever was, has been, and ever could be. A piece of shit.